Imagine walking into a gas station and getting treated like a criminal simply for carrying a gun you're legally licensed to own. No warning, no crime committed, just walking through the door with a permit in your pocket, and suddenly you're breaking the law. That was reality in Hawaii until now, because one of the strictest, most invasive gun laws in the entire United States just got wiped out by the Supreme Court of the United States, and gun owners across the country are calling it a massive win. Stick with me because this story has twists you're not expecting. A nickname involving actual vampires, a 6-3 ruling, a legal fight that dragged through multiple courts, and a bigger battle brewing that could affect over a dozen states. Let's rewind for a second so you understand just how extreme this law actually was. Back in 2023, Hawaii lawmakers passed a measure that required people to get permission before bringing their concealed carry weapons onto private property open to the public. Places like malls, hotels, and gas stations. Sounds harmless at first, right? Until you realize what it actually meant in practice. If you walked into a store with a legally concealed firearm, even with a valid carry permit, you were automatically presumed to be trespassing, unless that business specifically gave you permission first. No sign, no verbal approval, no gun allowed, period. And here's the part that made lawyers and gun owners furious. This law flipped the entire legal default. Instead of assuming citizens had the right to carry, the law assumed they didn't, unless a business owner proactively said otherwise. That's why legal experts gave it a chilling nickname that's honestly kind of brilliant, the vampire rule. Because just like folklore says vampires need an invitation before entering your home, gun owners needed an invitation before entering basically any public building in Hawaii. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. This law didn't come out of nowhere. It was passed right after a major 2022 Supreme Court ruling that expanded Americans' right to carry firearms in public for self-defense. That earlier decision sent shockwaves through states with strict gun laws, and thousands of Hawaii residents rushed to get concealed carry permits almost overnight. So what did Hawaii lawmakers do in response? They built what many considered one of the most aggressive gun restrictions in the entire country, essentially trying to neutralize the effect of that Supreme Court ruling by controlling where all those newly armed citizens could actually bring their weapons. And it wasn't just Hawaii watching this play out. At least 4 other states quietly enacted similar presumptive restrictions on carrying firearms into private businesses. Some of those laws have already been blocked in other courts, which means this Hawaii case wasn't just about Hawaii. It was a test case for an entire strategy being used nationwide. Gun rights advocates immediately smelled a legal challenge waiting to happen. They were right. A gun rights group, the Hawaii Firearms Coalition, along with 3 residents from Maui, took this straight to court. And what happened next is where the real drama begins. A judge initially blocked the law from taking effect. Then an appeals court stepped in and reversed that decision, allowing the law to be enforced anyway. Back and forth through multiple rounds of litigation until this case finally landed exactly where everyone knew it eventually would, the United States Supreme Court. And on June 25th, 2026, in the case known as Wolford versus Lopez, the justices delivered their verdict. By a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court struck down Hawaii's law, ruling it violated the Second Amendment. What does that actually mean for regular people? It means individuals can now carry guns onto privately owned property, shopping malls, gas stations, hotels, unless the property owner specifically posts that firearms are banned. The default flipped completely. No more guilty until proven innocent. Now it's the business owner's job to opt out, not the citizen's job to ask permission first. And the reactions? Explosive on both sides. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, didn't hold back, calling the law a thinly veiled attempt to disarm peaceable citizens and celebrating that the court finally saw through it. For gun rights supporters, this was framed as a long overdue correction to government overreach. But not everyone is celebrating. Hawaii's Department of the Attorney General expressed disappointment, though they've made clear they intend to keep pursuing what they call common sense regulation of firearms within the boundaries the court has now set, and gun control advocates aren't backing down either. Janet Carter, managing director of Second Amendment litigation at Everytown Law, made an important point that's getting lost in a lot of the coverage. Business owners still have the power to post "no guns allowed" signs if they choose. The court changed the default rule, but it didn't strip property owners of their authority entirely. So this isn't total, unrestricted freedom. It's a fundamental shift in who has to make the first move. But here's the twist most people are completely missing in this story. This ruling doesn't touch everything. Hawaii's restrictions on guns at beaches, hospitals, stadiums, and bars serving alcohol are still standing, untouched by this decision. Those fights are apparently still coming, and legal experts are already predicting more challenges on the way. And get this, Hawaii lawmakers are already scrambling to adjust in real time. Representative David Tarnas confirmed the ruling doesn't destroy the entire concealed carry framework Hawaii built, but property owners across the state will now need to put up explicit signage banning firearms if they want them kept out, which means Hawaii businesses, hotels, restaurants, retail stores are racing right now to figure out their next move. Jerry Gibson, president of the Hawaii Hotel Alliance, has already said staff will need training to handle this shift, and he expects long discussions ahead as the industry adapts. Meanwhile, attorney Kevin O'Grady, who represented the Hawaii Firearms Coalition, said something that should catch your attention. He argued this ruling affirms the idea that the Second Amendment is not a second-class right, and he said he actually hopes even more parts of Hawaii's gun law get struck down through future legal challenges. That's not the end of a fight. That's an open declaration that more lawsuits are coming. But here's what really makes this story bigger than just Hawaii. This ruling didn't happen in isolation. It came just days after another massive Second Amendment decision, one where the Supreme Court unanimously ruled the government cannot strip gun rights from casual drug users in a case tied directly to the same federal law Hunter Biden was once convicted under before receiving a pardon. Two major gun rights victories back to back in the same month, both connected to the same growing pattern coming out of the nation's highest court. And it doesn't stop there, because the Supreme Court has already agreed to take on an even bigger fight next. Whether bans on AR-15 style semi-automatic rifles violate the Second Amendment altogether. This isn't a small case either. It directly challenges laws in states like Connecticut and Illinois, with implications reaching major cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, where similar bans are currently in place. So if you thought this Hawaii case was the end of the story, it's actually just the beginning of something much bigger. The legal battlefield over gun rights in America is heating up fast, and every single ruling is setting the stage for what comes next. If you care about where this goes, because trust me, this affects way more states than people realize, you need to be paying close attention right now. So here's my question for you. Do you think the Supreme Court is finally correcting decades of government overreach, or do you think decisions like this open the door to real safety risks in public spaces? Drop your honest take in the comments. I read every single one, and this conversation is only getting started. If you want to stay ahead of every major legal ruling before mainstream media even covers it, make sure you're subscribed, because the next case on the docket could end up being the biggest gun rights decision in decades.